Francis days. I mean, some of those guys I know back then when I grew up in that Bay Area knew you, and they all said, they thought they'd never seen anybody work harder, and then you raised the level just a little bit more.
Yeah, you know what, Rex? I think it started with my upbringing. It started with my parents, who were very supportive in whatever direction I wanted to choose. My mom was an avid tennis player, and that was kind of what she did. So I grew up playing a ton of tennis, and very competitive tennis, to the point where the guys that I used to compete against, Corey Guy, Michael Jessup, Ryan Walters, Misha Palachek. I mean, none of these are household names, but these are guys that all went on to play Division I tennis. They also all went on to play professional tennis. So that was a route that, for a while I thought, I might go. And then my dad was a 4-3 black belt in Kempo karate. And so I grew up traveling around, believe it or not, to all over the country, competing in these karate championships. And, the one thing that I'm so thankful for that they did for me was when I decided, as a rebellious kid that I was, that, I wanted to play football and baseball, which they knew nothing about. They were supportive. And, the one thing that, my old man taught me, who, he ended up passing away a year ago, but this is something that now I'm gonna carry on and teach to my son and my two daughters, or is that no matter what you do, no matter what it is, put everything you have into it. So it's funny because a lot of people saw it on the baseball scale because it was right there and it was much more public, but it's not just baseball. That's how I live my life. When I get into something, I fully devote myself to it. And I don't do anything half-hearted. And, again, I'm so appreciative to, both of my parents, my mom and my dad, for instilling that in me as a young kid.
Hey, Byrnesy, do you think it has to be that way, all or nothing type of thing? Or do you think people out there can do something just for the enjoyment of it and, wherever you finish, or, is it, I know your mentality and I'm the same way, but is there a group out there that it's like, yeah, you just go into it and just have fun with it and that's that, or is it kind of an all or nothing?
Sure. You could go in half-ass anything you want. It's just don't have expectations of being the best at it, and don't have expectations of being your best. Forget the best, right? So let's even look at this triathlon thing. I could have gotten into this triathlon thing, done it halfway, done some sprints, done a couple of Olympics, and been like, hey, great. But for me, that wasn't enough for me. Now would have it been great, and I could have ended right there? Yeah, sure. But I wanted, for me, and this is just me individually, I think it's great. Look, my wife and my sister, Adam, they just did their first Olympic distance because they got so fired up watching me at Ironman Arizona that they decided, hey, look, we want to do this and at least try it. So we ended up doing an Olympic distance triathlon, all three of us. It was great to see them get involved. But in their own little world, they made their commitment of, this is what it has to be. Does it mean everyone has to go out and do an Ironman? No. Yeah. Or even if you're a kid and you're listening to this and you're playing multiple sports, I think that's great. I don't think I would have ever played professional baseball as long as I did had I not been a multi-sport athlete. Because when I talked about that, hey, look, all of a sudden it was 34, and I was looking around going, I'm just not that, it didn't have the same effect. So everything everyone burns out. It doesn't matter. At some point, you're not going to have that same passion for it. So no matter what you do, at least for me, no matter what I do, I'm going to dive into it. Now, golf's a great thing. I just got off the golf course because here's something that I'm not very good at. I'm a 10 handicap. I'm 10.
Come on. Terrible. Disappointing, Eric.
I realize that. And ideally, I'd like to be a scratch golfer, right? It's just I know with my training, with my family life, and juggling all of this stuff. And that's the other big question, because when you start talking about a triathlon and the multiple hours it takes to train, the thing that people always say is like, look, man, it's cost marriages, it's cost this. I've heard this several times now that I'm really kind of engulfed into this world. As a matter of fact, I'll almost like argue the opposite. I feel like it very much structures my life. So that's just kind of a little side thing. But getting back to the whole golf analogy, look, if I realize I am what I am on a golf course, now what I do like to do is that when I play, I like to play. So I like to get out there, say 5 times a week if I can, right? And I'll mix it in with the triathlon training, with the family time and everything else. And that if there's a time where I can't get out there, I'm getting out there once every couple of weeks. You just have to lower your expectations and understand it is what it is. But for the most part, no matter what you do, I don't think there's any reason to kind of go out there and just say, hey, kick it around. I mean, hey, it might be some other people's personality. It's not mine.
Right, I agree.
Again, Eric Byrnes on from MLB Network, KMBR Radio up in the Bay Area, former MLB outfielder here on Living the Run. Hey, Eric, I argue with you. I think it brings families together, and the way I say that, I saw you on video, and it made me laugh, man. You pushing that double stroller. I've been pushing a double stroller for years now, and I tell you, it is nothing better for your training than getting out there with your kids. But, I mean, you're spending time with the kids too, right? And they're yelling, they're laughing, they're cracking up, they're doing whatever they do, and you're trying to lug this thing up using no arms up a hill. Tremendous training. I'm going to argue with you. That brings families together.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it can. I think the most important thing too, though, Rex, is you're teaching your kids a work ethic. You're teaching your kids about health. You're teaching them about fitness. So not only, it's funny because when I first got into this, I ate like crap. I would eat whatever I wanted. I just kind of lived that baseball life, and I didn't really pay attention to what I was putting into my body. Now, I'd take vitamins, and I try to get my greens in, but then other than that, I didn't really pay attention. Well, as time has gone on, all of a sudden, now I'm eating gluten-free. I watch everything I put into my body. I treat it like a temple. I am very meticulous about everything that goes in, and all of that has carried over to what my family eats. So now, because my wife is off to the grocery store buying all these organic groceries and everything else, fruits, vegetables, whatnot, like now all my kids are reaping the benefits as well. So my girls now actually eat gluten-free. And we just found out, it's really interesting, is I found this is what happened. I found out I was gluten reactive, highly gluten reactive. So essentially what that means is I've been living my life with inflammation. Yep. So because of that, I could continue to eat gluten. My body's adapted to it, but my entire life has been spent like I've been living this with inflammation. Well, my middle daughter, she's 2, but she's gluten intolerant. So she would break out, and she would have and we couldn't figure out what was going on, and she would eat and she wasn't gaining any weight, and pretty soon we found out we had the blood work done, and she was gluten intolerant. So now she's eating gluten free. It's funny because I'm not sure if we would have ever figured that out had we not began this lifestyle sort of eating, because we pulled her off gluten originally before we even got the test, and then we knew the results of the test before we even got them back, and sure enough, the results came back and it confirmed what we already knew. You know who else is onto that? I just saw in New York is Chavi. He's onto the gluten free now. He said he did the same thing and found out he was I don't think not gluten intolerant, but he's removed the gluten, and he said he feels a lot better, doesn't feel as bloated, and he's having a hell of a year. Yeah, it's not for everybody. And look, gluten's essentially just like kind of wheat-based flour, right? So, believe it or not, you're eliminating a lot of processed foods, a lot of BS. Now, do I miss eating bread? Originally, I did. Hey, Bertie, wait a minute now, though. Let me get in here. You say, I used to eat whatever, dude. Every year you would come in, and I'm gonna overestimate. You'd come in at 8% body fat, and it's probably more like 6 or 4 or something like that. So, listeners, do not be fooled. This guy is in incredible shape. He says he eats whatever. He might have, but he was still ripped. So go ahead, Bernie. Yeah, but you know what, Adam, it was just different back then. You know, I mean,
I know.
look, we played right through the heart of the steroid era. We were trying to keep up with the freaking Joneses, right? And you know, I played right through the thick of it without ever wanting to do steroids. I didn't want my testicles to shrink up. I didn't want to go bald, and I didn't want to back me. So steroids was out. So because that was out, I just felt like I had to work harder. So I just load up on all the protein shakes and everything else. No, don't get me wrong. Fitness has always been a huge part of my life.
Right.
It's just now it's just like a whole new extreme, man. I mean, I'm in an area now, like with the nutrition at least, and even with the Ironman and endurance training, that I wish. The only thing looking back, I wish I implemented a little more of this into my life when I still played. I would be real curious to see how it would have affected my play on the field.
I couldn't agree more. I'm right there with you.
Hey, Eric, real quick, I know you got to go, and we got to wrap it up, but will you give the listeners something? You know, there's a ton of listeners out here, people that are looking to get active. We're trying to motivate, get people moving. We're on the Central Coast. There's no excuse not to. Some people don't want to go as far as the Ironman. Some people just need to be able to get that little extra oomph to get off the couch. You know, you guys talked about, do you go hard or do you not? Sometimes it's just about getting into a race and completing versus competing. Give the listeners something that might be able to get them juiced up to go out and do something tomorrow or set a new goal, something to get going.
Just look, if you're a younger person looking to get into this is I say this because I wish I did more of this sort of training and lived more of this sort of lifestyle when I played in the major leagues. If you're a little bit older, middle-aged, whatever, get off your ass and do something. And set an example for your children. If you have them. It makes you, and both of you guys can attest to this, because you guys both work out, but very physically fit. Look, this gives you energy for the whole day. I'll wake up in the morning and I'm fine, and I have my green tea now and everything else, and I sit there, and then I'll have breakfast, and then all of a sudden, like, I'll start getting that itch, like, man, okay, it's time to go out and get something done, and I'll almost feel like kind of a lull before I actually get going, and then once I get my workout in, once I get the couple miles swim, whatever it is, once I get that done, I have this life and this energy that lasts me until it's time to go to bed. You wake up the next day and do it all over again. And as far as the triathlons are concerned, look, if you don't want to swim, bike, run, that's fine. Enter a road race. Running's the best thing for you. If you want to lose weight, run. That's the other thing. I've talked to several people about this, but I mean, my true belief in going through all of these, look, swimming is great. It's great overall exercise, easy on your joints. Will help build upper body strength at the same time. Just, once you learn technique, it's unbelievable how much you can improve. I'm a living testament to it. I could not swim 25. Well, I could not swim 20, more than 25 without stopping. I would swim 25 meters and just be like, man, I can't go, or 25 yards even. I went out the other day, swam 2.5 miles, and it was like, man, I could have gone another 2.5 miles. I was in Donner Lake the other day. So you give this sort of thing time, you work on it, and don't be embarrassed to go to a race. Don't be embarrassed, because I remember when I first started getting into this, I'm like, man, all these people, they all know what they're doing. I have no idea. Don't be embarrassed. Everyone's a newbie at some point. So go out there, get something done. If it's a triathlon that you want to get into, great. If it's a road race, running race, do something. Put something on the calendar, though. That's my final thing. Put something on the calendar. I put Ironman Arizona on the calendar. I left me all sorts of freaking room of time and excuses to get out if I had to. And once you put that on the calendar, you know that that's coming up, and it forces you to train and actually do it. So I completed my first one. I have another one in a month. I'm doing Ironman Arizona again in November, and then I'm looking forward to Ironman Lake Tahoe, a new event in September of 2013.
Brilliant stuff. Eric Byrnes, thanks so much for joining us. A shout-out from a couple of your St. Francis alums, A.J. Taves and Mark Obenauer told me to say hi to you. I know they played football and baseball with you. But thanks so much for living the run with us. I know the listeners appreciate it. We'd love to have you back after maybe one of your next Ironmans. We'll talk a little bit more Ironman stuff. Great show up in KNBR, too. My brother is a hugest fan of you. Good stuff up there. Thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys, and definitely send my best to Taze, who was a beast of a running back, and good old Obi. Obi sent me a text earlier today saying you guys go way back. So, hey, anytime you guys, Rex, anytime you want me on, Melhuse, this is, as you can tell, this is my passion, man. I could sit here and I could do a health and fitness radio show every single day. I love this stuff.
Nice work, Frenzy.
Hey, AJ said that nobody knows his rear end, his backside better than you. He was blocking big time for you up there at St. Francis.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He was a beast, so he'd mull over everybody.
He was a beast. Good stuff. All right, Bertie, thanks so much.
Yeah, see ya.
Okay. Hey, back more with Adam Melhuse on Living the Run.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
My name is Chris Randolph, and as a local track and field Olympic hopeful, I've been seeing Brian Quigley at Slow Wellness Center to help me with injury recovery during my season. Brian has not only helped me with some very extensive injuries, but has also educated me on the specifics of how my body moves when I compete. His knowledge and touch has helped me achieve personal bests in my competition and has also helped me in injury prevention. Becoming a wellness patient of his has helped me stop my injuries before they start, making time spent recovering shorter, leaving more time spent training for my goals. From injury prevention to wellness, Brian understands the patient and holistically helps them achieve their personal health-related goals. So check out Brian Quigley at peakperformanceslo.com and find him on Facebook and comment a response to this ad and get a complimentary 60-minute massage.
This is really cool, Dad.
Yep, nothing better than camping out under the stars.
You think there's any bears out here?
I don't think we have to worry about that. Look, there's the Big Dipper.
Wow, cool.
At Four Seasons Outfitters, they can help you create an outdoor family adventure.
Hey, can we try out my new fishing pole tomorrow?
Sure. Hey, want to roast it in the marshmallow?
Oh, yeah.
For camping and hiking equipment, for fishing and hunting gear, Four Seasons is your hometown outdoor outfitter.
Did you and Grandpa go camping when you were little?
We sure did.
Did you see any bears?
Nope, no bears.
You'll find backpacks and tents, freshwater and deep-sea fishing equipment, campfire cooking supplies, guns and ammo, everything you'll need for your next outdoor adventure.
Hi, guys.
Hi, honey.
Oh, hi, Mom.
So how are my two campers doing? Do you want me to leave the porch light on?
Maybe. Just in case there's a bear.
Even if it's in your own backyard. Four Seasons Outfitters, your outdoor adventure headquarters for more than 25 years. 432 Higuera, San Luis Obispo.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Slow Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Since 1929, Standard Process has been dedicated to providing the highest quality whole food supplements. Their philosophy is simple: to provide nutrients as they are found in nature. Today, scientists are finding more and more evidence demonstrating the benefits of whole food nutrients over high-dose synthetic vitamins. Standard Process's unique products are sold through healthcare professionals who are trained in using whole food nutrition as the first line of defense for the body. Visit www.standardprocess.com for more information or to find a Standard Process healthcare practitioner near you.
We're back with Living the Run.
Incredible stuff there, Adam. This is a lot of energy out of that guy, Eric Byrnes. Great interview. I think all of us could use a little bit of that to get motivated. That guy clearly lives the run.
Man, he hasn't changed a bit. You know, when we were in the same clubhouse with the A's, he was that same high energy. Guys fed off of that. You know, it was tough to be lethargic around Eric. I mean, he wasn't really going to say anything to you, but just the way he approached everything, you know, hitting, go work out, and go to the cages, whatever. He was doing something. You sit there and go, man, I better do something. He's doing something. I'm getting left behind here.
One of the best things is he came through on his Ironman, his first Ironman, and they interviewed him after, and a reporter asked his wife. They interviewed his wife after, and they asked her. They said, well, you know Eric a little bit better. You know what's going on inside his head. What do you think? And she looked at him and she said, nobody knows what's going on in that guy's head.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that's it was, he's an interesting guy, and he's maxed out full bore on everything he does. And, I appreciate that, especially with the baseball. And, it's interesting what he said about the baseball and being done with it, because most people don't realize, it's nonstop. Even when the season's over, you're preparing for next season. So it's like nonstop work. So I totally can feel for him and understand what he's saying with that.
Yeah. Any good stories? Any special stories you had with him? Maybe any laughers?
Yeah. I've got a great one that immediately when you started that sentence, I thought of. We're in Seattle, and I think it was in the 2004 season. Tim Hudson made a trip down to the fish market and got a salmon because we nicknamed his glove the Salmon because whenever he would run after the ball and catch it. Now, mind you, Eric was a great athlete, still is a great athlete. But smooth is not a word you use with Eric Byrnes. Like I said, he played like his hair was on fire, so that kind of sums it up right there. But so he'd run and he'd catch a lot of balls, but it always looked like that ball was just about ready to squirt out of his glove, so he nicknamed his glove the Salmon. Well, Tim Hudson goes to the fish market, gets a salmon, slides it into the pocket of his glove, and we're all kind of, stretching and getting ready to play catch before batting practice starts, 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. Eric goes to get his glove to put it on to play catch, and there is this salmon in his glove. I swear he must have jumped 5 feet off the ground, and he just it was the funniest thing. None of us we were on the ground rolling laughing for a solid 5 minutes, and Byrnesy was just freaked out. He might still be freaked out from that incident.
Hey, those of you just tuning in, if you missed the interview with Eric Byrnes, you got to tune in tomorrow, either on Facebook or Twitter or on livingtherun.com. We'll put the podcast up. It's a can't miss interview. Well, heck, filling in or pinch hitting, I should say, for Paul Tarek is Adam Melhuse in here with us. Adam, you talk about it. You played with him in the big leagues. He talked about fatigue towards the end of his career, talked about needing something more to do. What was it like to not have spring training? Where did the motivation to come from to do, something else now, and what are you doing?
Yeah, well, right now, currently, I'm a Major League Advanced Scout for the Cubs, and in brief, that just means I'm a couple teams ahead of where the Cubs are playing. So, for instance, if they're in San Francisco playing the Giants and their next opponent's the Dodgers, well, while they're playing the Giants, I'll be scouting the Dodgers and scouting the players who are playing well, those who aren't, what pitchers are their best pitch, so on and so forth. And then I report to the Cubs and say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's a good way to attack them. As well as the rest of the staff are compiling boatloads of information. All of this gets compressed into one scouting report, if you will, and that's how they're going to attack the team. So doing that, also, I enjoy doing individual lessons with kids, passing on information and knowledge about the game of, for those who are passionate and serious about the game. I really enjoy working with kids, so do a lot of lessons, and that's what I was doing before I became a scout with the Cubs, and fully intend on doing that when I get home at the end of September. So if anybody out there is looking for lessons or anything like that, well, I'll leave my number or something, or leave it with Rex, and you can get a hold of my info, and would love to do that. So that's just I put a lot of time, like Eric was saying. I was in professional baseball for 18 years, so it to me it's just a shame to not be able to pass that along. So and also there's a lot of people that took their time to help me and teach me, so I feel it's my duty to kind of pass that along.
Yeah, that's what Living the Run is all about here too. Is it's not just about competing, but it's getting people out there that maybe wouldn't ordinarily get out there, and a lot of times that just comes from leadership, from somebody who's got some experience. Even Byrnesy was saying that, talking about guys going in and helping him swim. Here's a pro athlete. Here's a guy who played multiple sports, but he could tell that he needed help in the water. He needed help with his technique, and he wasn't afraid to ask. And I think that's one of the big things out there is people get afraid to ask. They get embarrassed because they can't do something. And you know, guys like yourself and other people who've got that experience, we got to pass that down. So, you know, if you are interested in something for your kids, hitting lessons, something to advance them. Adam is definitely a great guy, great guy in this area to have, and we'll put his information on Facebook or online as well if you want to get into contact with him. But talk about yourself a little bit. You know, Byrnesy kind of alluded to the steroid era. He alluded to some of the workout types of things that you kind of were required of you to stay at the top of that baseball echelon, if you will. And then when you finish, and you don't have that drive necessarily anymore trying to get that starting position or even get a roster spot or get an everyday spot, what gives you the motivation to get going? Where did you turn your efforts to, and how difficult of a thing was that?
You know, that's really interesting because, you know, it wasn't difficult for the first year. I mean, I just knew that I wanted to basically relax as much as possible because I never did feel like I was saying earlier, it's such a year-round thing. For me, you know, you hear some guys say, oh, yeah, I came and took a month off. I could maybe squeeze a week or two out of myself to just sit there, and then after that it was like, okay, I got to do something. You know, I got somebody breathing down my neck to take my job. I need to be ready to go. I need to be into spring. I wasn't one of those guys that was on a 2, 3, 4, 5-year contract. I got to get in there. I got to have both feet on the ground running, ready to go to solidify my spot on the team. You know, there's 25 guys on the major league roster, and you know, I was that 23rd, 24th, 25th guy. So there was not a whole lot of wiggle room there. I mean, I earned a little bit of grace there after 2003, my first year with the A's, you know, so 04, 05, 06, you know, it was kind of my spot to lose unless I did something really stupid, you know, and played really poorly. It was my spot. So that was kind of nice. But after the game, you know, after I retired, it was marriage for me, married to my beautiful wife Carly, and you know, we just had our first child, son Eli, and he's almost 2 years old now. So there's motivation. But as far as the gym, you know, I'll be completely honest. There's times it's really tough because I'm in there going, what am I working out for? I'm not a Major League Baseball player anymore. So you have to draw from somewhere, whether, you know, again, I'll be honest, if it's someone else in the gym at the time doing the same workout I am, you know, I work out over at Kennedy at the Gymnasio, and that's been, you know, a blessing for me because it's a totally different style of training that I used when I was playing a lot more of the power type lifting, and there's still that component to the Gymnasio, but it's a lot more well-rounded. So you get somebody else in there doing the same workout, and they're doing it faster than you, there's some competition right there. You know, guys, you read about it online, you see it on the news. Guys are searching all sports. Once they're done, they don't know what to do with themselves. You know, and it's sad. And I, you know, for the longest when I was playing, I couldn't figure that out. It's like, why are these guys, you know, on the golf course? You know, you read about, you know, $80,000 you lost to a guy. $80,000? Are you kidding me? What are you doing? You know, and it's just like they're trying to find that competition. They're trying to paint themselves in the corner, if you will, where they got to get the adrenaline pumping, because once you're not out in the field full of, you know, a stadium full of 40, 50,000 people, it's tough to find that.
That's why this show is so great, is that, you know, everybody's battling with that. Whether you were a professional athlete, whether you're a collegiate athlete, you know, we all have demons, if you will, things that want to draw us away from probably making healthy decisions and better decisions. And it's about getting around good people, hearing motivating things, and that's why Byrnesy's such a great guy. You just see is just take a little bit of energy from him. I want to compliment you. One thing I love about your story, Adam, and probably a lot of people don't know, is, you know, you played catcher in the big leagues, but you weren't a catcher. You played third sack, right, for UCLA, and you coming up to the big leagues, and you had to make that change. And I know it's hard for people to change. I mean, change is not an easy thing, especially you spend a lot of time doing one thing. You're proud of a position you play. You're proud of something you do, and somebody says, hey, how about come over here? Talk about that adaptation. Talk about the difficulty of that, but maybe bring that into, you know, adaptation as a father now, as a husband, and so forth.
Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. You know, I was after my first year of pro ball, so I signed a professional contract, go and play for, you know, a few months, which is the short season, you know, after you're drafted. get a month or so at home, come back to spring training, and then it's like, oh, hey, by the way, you know what? You're a pretty good third baseman, but we think you should be a catcher. And then it's like, I remember calling my dad and said, I think this thing's done before it even gets started. They want me to be a catcher. And he's like, well, what do you mean it's done? And I said, well, they don't like me as a third. Don't look at it like that. Look at it like they think you could be a better catcher than you are a third baseman. You're a pretty good third baseman, right? And I said, yeah, I think I am. And he's like, well, they think you can be a better catcher. And I said, okay, well, let's go with that. So. Looking back on it after a while, it was basically I didn't have a choice. So, but at the time I wasn't looking at that. I was like, well, man, they think I stink already. They want to change my position. I've only been an infielder my whole life, so it was a shock. But I made the change, and I worked hard to try and make the transition as smooth as possible. And it was rough, and not until I actually got to the big leagues did I feel like even in the big leagues I was still learning on the job. So. It was difficult, but I took a lot of pride in it. I wanted to be, the best catcher I could possibly be. And, if someone saw something positive in me as being a catcher, I wanted to prove them right rather than prove them wrong. So I had motivation. Talk about motivation. I had motivation from that, aspect. And plus a lot of naysayers that thought I would never, one, get to college, and then two, ever get to pro ball. So motivation from there, too.
That's good motivational stuff. We got to take a quick break, but you're listening to Living the Run here on ESPN Radio 1280, The Ticket.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280, The Ticket.
The ultimate choice for sports massage in SLO County? Peak Performance. Conveniently located at SLO Wellness Center just blocks from Cal Poly is ready to assist you to reach your personal best. Calling all athletes and fitness enthusiasts. If you're ready to start alleviating symptoms by addressing the true problems, if you are seeking efficient and effective body work, then you can count on Peak Performance. Nagging injury, losing the bounce in your step, pain or tightness keeping you from training hard and reaching your goals? Raise your standards, raise your expectations. Call Peak Performance 543-8688.
This is really cool, Dad.
Yep, nothing better than camping out under the stars.
You think there's any bears out here?
I don't think we have to worry about that. Look, there's the Big Dipper.
Wow, cool.
At Four Seasons Outfitters, they can help you create an outdoor family adventure.
Hey, can we try out my new fishing pole tomorrow?
Sure. Hey, want to roast into the marshmallow?
Oh, yeah.
For camping and hiking equipment, for fishing and hunting gear, Four Seasons is your hometown outdoor outfitter.
Did you and Grandpa go camping when you were little?
We sure did.
Did you see any bears?
Nope, no bears.
You'll find backpacks and tents, freshwater and deep-sea fishing equipment, campfire cooking supplies, guns and ammo, everything you'll need for your next outdoor adventure.
Hi, guys.
Hi, honey.
Oh, hi, Mom.
So how are my two campers doing? Do you want me to leave the porch light on?
Maybe. Just in case there's a bear.
Even if it's in your own backyard. Four Seasons Outfitters, your outdoor adventure headquarters for more than 25 years. 432 Higuera, San Luis Obispo.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, SLO Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at SLO Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, SLO Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go. Go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff puts your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, I wanted to give a quick promo to an event that's happening up in the Bay Area. I went to a school with a guy who unfortunately had a corrective moya surgery. It's a brain surgery that kind of went awry. They're trying to raise money, expenses for caring for Chris Suji. You can go to www.caringforchris.com if you have any interest in this. If you know somebody that's up in the Bay Area that may be interested. But what they're really trying to promote is a golf tournament here. Caring for Chris, 2012 golf fundraiser. They've done it for 4 years, or this is the 4th year now. We're hoping to raise over about $75,000. It's going to be held August 11, 2012, at the Villages Golf and Country Club. Again, caringforchris.com. Trying to raise money for a corrective moya surgery for Chris Suji. Things just didn't go great for him, and he's requiring 24-hour care. So, great event, great family, tremendous stuff. If you know anybody up in the Bay Area, you might be interested in giving to this. Again, check out www.caringforchris.com. Back in studio again with Adam Melhuse, and during the break, Adam and I were kind of talking a little bit just about how fortunate we are here in this area on the Central Coast. San Luis Obispo, I mean, virtually there's a farmer's market every day in one of these towns. The availability to eat in a way that's so different than the rest of the country, and Eric kind of alluded to it too when he was talking that, he just kind of didn't eat as well as he could. And I think the conscious awareness to eating is starting to come back a little bit. We're seeing kind of a rebellion, hopefully, against some of these GMO products and the wheat-laden products, garbage corn, a lot of processed nonsense out there, and it's affecting people's lives in chronic conditions. Talk a little bit about this, Adam, because you're traveling all over the country. Let the listeners know just how darn lucky and fortunate we are to be in this area with this type of food.
Yeah, I mean, it's become crystal clear to me, traveling around, to different towns and cities and stuff like that, and just when I'm gone, thinking, man, if I could just get down to the farmer's market right now and throw some spinach and some Greek yogurt in with some protein powder and whatnot and make a nice smoothie, but it's just it made me really, really appreciate and not take for granted what this area has to offer. All the CSAs, the farmers markets, those types of things. Eggs, with my wife and I, we're one day, hopefully soon, hoping to get some chickens at our next house so we can have our own eggs and stuff like that, and just learn how to grow our own vegetables. My wife took a run at it one time, and it didn't go so well, but
Carly,
3 strikes and you're out.
Still loved.
Yes, you're very much loved.
And especially love for letting Adam take an hour off here to come live the run with us.
Yeah, she gave it a good effort, but
Hey, can I just say this? I mean, it's amazing, but chickens seem to be very popular, and this is a really cool thing. I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but chickens are starting to be popular because people are starting to get a gist. And, thanks to some great documentaries, thanks to some great authors revealing some of this information. But, this reality that chicken's better than beef is just, it's, again, more nonsense. It's not, in any case, they can make toxic chicken just like they can make toxic beef or toxic anything. And it's kind of a cool thing, My boys go over every day across the street, chicken coop full of 20 chickens. They go and hold the chickens, number one. They love to hold them, and they pet them. And then they go and collect the eggs for the neighbors and for ourselves. And it's really a neat thing. We take the compost from what you said. You go to a farmer's market. You get a CSA. You juice up your food. You throw it in the Vitamix. You take the byproduct, if you have any, from the juicer, and you feed it to your chickens. You know what your chickens are eating. You know what the end product is. It's a big difference. You take an egg and you drop it and it doesn't crack. That means it's probably a decent egg because, the eggs, you barely touch them. from an Albertsons or a Vaughn's, and it's a nightmare. Those things just smash. The yolks are colorless, and it's a nightmare. So it's a kind of a cool thing. I dig the desire to have chickens.
Yeah, no, we've definitely been educated here, with like you said, documentaries, and I personally will speak for myself, and that's I had no idea. I mean, obviously I knew salads and greens, that's good, but chicken, I thought, chicken, I'm eating chicken, so that's great. Hey, like you said, the chicken could be just as toxic as beef, so it's just education. And I think that's, if there was more of that, these documentaries, like you said, are great, but people who are listening, if it's at all interesting, jump on the internet. I mean, what a resource to have there to get on and Google stuff. I mean, let me warn you, it could be dizzying, because for one side of the argument, you'll find somebody on the other side of the argument, so you got to find where you fit in. I mean, you could get one extreme or the other, but there is a lot of good information that's pretty black and white, and then from there it kind of goes off on tangents. But it's education. I think just a drop in the bucket from what I'd like to know and what I'm hoping to know as we live here in the Central Coast, and hopefully change our diets, my wife and I and the kids, that's for sure.
If you missed any of the interviews today, we had Eric Byrnes from MLB Network and KNBR Radio, former MLB outfielder, on, and great interview. So tune in tomorrow, livingtherun.com or on facebook.com to get that interview. Again, we're in studio with Adam Melhuse on Living the Run, and we're talking a little nutrition here. When it comes down to it, and you talk about the one side of the argument, the other side of the argument, the fact is a lot of people like to argue. And we get to what Byrnesy said, sometimes you just got to use common sense. You don't get too crazy about this thing, and you use some common sense. I think one of the great authors on that was Michael Pollan. He put together a book called In Defense of Food, and one of the things he was talking about is very, very simple stuff. If it was living, it probably is good. At some point, in the plant life. So you get to a plant life living deal. If you know what's being fed to the animal, if that was living, probably decent. You start to scrap around. If you know what's in your soil, if you're composting, if you're doing these things, this is good stuff. If you go to the back of a box and there's 25 ingredients, you can't pronounce any of them, it's probably not the best thing. Some of these companies have done a great job of marketing some of this stuff, Gatorade being one of the best. I mean, look, they got great logo design. They got great color. Come on. If you're drinking something that's purple, bright neon blue, looks like antifreeze, this kind of stuff, it may not be as good as some good water. And I just think people need to realize that. And where they need to realize is when we start talking about living the run and getting out there and getting into a running event or getting into whatever to improve your health, you can't be inflamed from your diet. And Byrnesy was talking about that a little bit, is that low-lying inflammation, it zaps you, it zaps your energy, it creates more potential for injury, it makes you not sleep as well, you never feel rested, and it's a nightmare. Great situations here. Anything, what's some of the worst food you've seen out there on the road?
Oh, man, I mean, you name it. I mean, your fast foods. I can honestly say that I haven't had, fast food and I can't remember when, or a hot dog for that matter, but, sitting in these media lounges when I go to the different ballparks, I get to the ballpark at 5 for a 7 o'clock game and go up to the media lounge, and usually they feed you there, it's $5, $7, maybe $10, and you go, and, the gal or guy at the front, thanks for the $10, and you have whatever you want, and you just scan the place. Okay, there's pizza, there's hot dogs, there's sausages. Okay.
Where are the greens? Give me some greens.
There's some iceberg lettuce over there. Okay, that's close to green, so I guess I'll go eat that and throw some chickpeas and stuff on it.
Hey, real quick, before we wrap up the show, we do something called Tips and Takeaways, something to take home to the listeners. What do you got today for the listeners? What did we learn from today's show? Something good that we could give them to take home for tomorrow.
I like what Byrnesy said. Just you got to start somewhere. You're a newbie somewhere. I remember back when I first started working out. In high school. I wish I started earlier, but I think it wasn't until my senior year, because way back then, I'm not going to age myself here, but way back then, it was lifting weights, you're going to get hurt. If you're playing baseball and you're lifting weights, you're going to get hurt. So that kind of dates me a little bit. But then, shortly thereafter, it kind of went full circle. So I think, 155 pounds my freshman year, get to UCLA with a good weight program. I went up to about 175, 180. So just start somewhere. Just get off it and just get off the starting line.
Hey, my tip and takeaway is put something on the calendar. Byrnesy said that, and that's it. Put something on the calendar, a goal, a motivation, something you see, something to look forward to, and something that you're going to take. Hey, Adam Melhuse, brilliant stuff. Thanks so much for coming in. Pinch hitting for the wonderful Paul Tarek. Maybe we got a duo here in radio. Maybe we'll make a trio someday with you in here. Want to give you a quick gift card to Jaffa Cafe. Jaffa's a big sponsor here of Living the Run. $20 to there. Get yourself a little gyro, a little baklava, good stuff.
Hummus.
Yeah, little hummus, hot off the press. Our Living the Run T-shirts. Here's one for you. If you haven't seen them, take a look. LivingTheRun.com, Facebook.com. We got T-shirts by Left Coast T-Shirt Company, the best in the business. Come with us next week, Dr. Dan Murphy, talking nutrition, antioxidants, and aging. Live healthy, live bold. Come live the run.